Hi, I'm David Morgan,
And I'm Bill Tillman.
and this is Everyday Ethics, where we examine and explore the values and issues that impact our lives every day.
Well, David, what is this? Episode 8
It
for
is.
season 2? My goodness. Is it okay if I give away there is going to be this one and one more?
Oh, please,
Okay. There will be an episode 9
there
while
will
we will
be.
try to close the loop, the wheel, as it were, as this season has rolled with the idea
Oh,
the integrity wheel based on a little book I did, which is getting reposted through the Masson Foundation. And the purpose of the wheel is to be an associative device to talk about those dynamics in our lives, and it goes across the board of humanity that inform our character and form our character. And the one up for today, the spoke of the wheel, as it were, is the term blessing. Um, I think it's fair for us to, well, I will admit from the beginning, this is a hard one to communicate, not only to the larger culture, and we intend for these episodes to be working toward the common good, but I think it's a term that Um, well, I'll even say it's vacuous in congregational life. One example I have, a pastor congregation that I get their newsletter, pastor's paragraphs, and on that particular issue, there were 5 paragraphs. In each paragraph appeared the word blessing. But reading through it, not so carefully even, each time the word blessing appeared, it had a slightly different meaning or application, which makes me wonder, was it overused? Did the congregation really understand blessing? So I wonder, do you have any stories, accounts, experiences out of your pastoral experience, or even closer, now that you're the executive director of the Mashing Foundation, about, dare I say, the misuse of blessing?
I think that would be fair, but I've got a use that I think is a proper use of it that
Oh,
happened
okay.
really only an hour or so ago. The
Oh,
Maston Foundation received a sizable contribution from a person who I really did not recognize who it was. So
hmm.
I called the individual this morning and basically had a chat with the person. And the person said he had known Dr. Maston, and the person wants to support our work, particularly with students, and made a
Ah,
sizable contribution. And my response to him was, I am grateful for the donation because one, student retreats can get expensive, but more
yeah.
than that, to me, it was an affirmation. It was him saying to us, I believe in what you're doing, and I
Ah.
want to help make it possible for you. So
Well,
I
that
think,
fits right in with the directions of the foundation based on Maston's life and work. He was known primarily as
yes, he was.
a teacher of students. So, the importance of supporting students.
Yeah. And yet, sometimes when we think about finances and blessings, uh, I've heard so many times as a pastor, God has blessed me with good health, with a
Okay.
good job. In fact, even
Okay.
in your book, in that chapter, you make the comment that sometimes we equate blessings with finances, and you
Yeah.
suggested maybe we should change the spelling from the two S's in the middle of it to $2 signs. I like that.
Because that's the way we commodify, quantify blessing. And I don't think that holds up all that is in the term.
No,
So,
I think there's a lot more than that. But I've seen it misused in that sense. I've seen it misused almost as a, I mean, at times it's used as a prayer, and I think that might be appropriate when we're
yeah,
praying for it. But sometimes it's used just to dismiss people as well.
isn't that interesting?
I mean,
Yeah.
you say something stupid, and I've been known to do that, and somebody goes, "Bless you,
Oh,
bless
that,
you, my son." Like, okay, maybe I missed up there. Or, blessings is always something that makes life easier, seems to be. People
okay,
understand it in that sense, not in the sense of an affirmation of who we are even as a person.
right. But that is an important sense about the term rightly used. Um, establishing a sense of encouragement for somebody, recognizing some acts, some skills, some things. This was good work.
Mhm.
Um, well, and you would expect, of course, these other episodes we've done this, but we'll move to some biblical expressions. One of the best stories, I think, in the Bible, and it's spelled out more in the little book, is the life of Jacob. Um, a person years ago gave a sense of description about Jacob. We probably know more about him his whole life than maybe anybody else in Scripture. Um, and the term they used was, we know Jacob from the womb to the tomb. And you can track that down if
Mhm.
somebody who's watching or listening. But it was particularly his birth, why he got his name. In Hebrew, it's not just Jacob, it's Jacob. And it means heel grabber, basically. And that's how he was born. He was a
Right.
fraternal twin to Esau. Um, but what usually is not discussed is why do people look for blessing, to be inspired, to be encouraged, um, to be identified as significant, as successful.
Mm.
And we can go in lots of directions with, in our 21st century culture, how is success getting put forward on us on all of us, really, no matter what we're doing.
As you were talking about that, and as we reviewed it yesterday, one of the thoughts that came to my mind as we were talking about Jacob and Esau took me back to the short miniseries that I watched before Easter on Fox, The Faithful, that dealt with Sarah and Hagar and Rebecca and Leah Rachel.
Right.
The emphasis on Rebecca's episode, when it really focused on her, was God had given her the word that the younger would surpass the elder of her two sons.
Yeah.
And part of the plot of that one was somehow Isaac didn't seem to grasp that and
No, it didn't.
always continued to favor his firstborn,
Yeah.
even to
That
the
was the tradition.
neglect of Jacob.
Yeah, that was the tradition. Um, And of course, as the longer story goes on and even into the New Testament, there's at least one reference that Jesus made, um, talking about God and the religious leaders around him at that time, that he was talking about the God of Abraham, Isaac, and not Esau, but Jacob. So I think what the blessing from Isaac to Jacob meant was here's the family legacy getting passed on to you. I mean, for the Hebrews, that was very important. I mean, one, for children to be born to carry on the family name. There might be material goods that would go along with all of that. In Jacob's sense, though, when he left and basically went away on his own, he didn't have much with himself.
Right.
Um, and it's always been interesting to me that where he went to was to Rebekah's brother, Jacob's uncle Laban, who may have been one of the few in Jacob's life that sort of got the best of him. Um, and it makes you wonder, we talked one episode about heroes and heroines, but how much of the sense of inadequacy, having to run a scam, having to live life on the cheating side, um, does that filter down through the family line? Um, Now, by the time he got there, the Laban's uh, arrangement, this scheming cranked back up. Um, but there, I think, are some of and well, I will add, by then, he also developed financial kinds of success for the time. I mean, to be measured. I mean, what are the metrics? What are the quantifications of blessing? Well, for him, it could be measured in how many sheep and goats he had.
Right.
Um, so, but that brings us to a point of, look, how do we identify our inadequacies anyway? Would that would that shortcut some of these things that we try that at base they really are scams, um, hedging on the truth, things like that.
Yeah. Um, Impression I have, first off, we go back to him getting, you talked about Jacob acquired some wealth as well
Yeah,
because he had a deal with Laban about how to,
worked out a deal.
and yet even Jacob seemed to be trying to manipulate how that worked out too, with how he fed and watered the flocks with the stripes and the almond
Yeah,
and all of the bark. I mean, that's sketchy. But
yeah,
it,
oh yeah,
but at some
yeah.
point, he decides he needs to go back home.
Interesting, but you're right. Yeah,
He returned. I mean, throughout all of this, was there a sense of longing for something that he missed? Was there a sense of
could be,
unfulfilled expectation, unresolved conflicts with his
could
dad?
be, could
On
be.
all of these, but I mean, he begins to move back, recognizing that his place is not in Haran, but it's back home. And I think,
Yeah.
and one of the,
And then the famous wrestling match.
yeah, go ahead.
And we could go a while there. Who was that character? Um, Most translations vary. Um, it apparently was some appearance of God,
Right,
but out of that wrestling match, in a rather dramatic way, um, it looks like Jacob's character was beginning to transform,
Hmm.
uh, go to his better parts. Um, he always had a limp,
Hmm.
which could be, I guess, interpreted as we always have reminders,
Mm.
um, which is kind of ironic. His name means tripper. In other words, he trips other people.
Hmm.
Now, with the limp, it would be easier to trip him.
Mm.
And that did happen later on with Joseph's brothers trading him off. He ends up in Egypt. The other brothers testify to Jacob. We don't know what happened. We think he was killed. Here we've got his robe, blood on it, and Jacob believed them.
Right.
And it always reminds me of that little part of 1 Corinthians 13 that agape love believes all things. Well, in some cases, that have to be recognized as naivete. But what a stark contrast between this guy when he was, he would try to cheat his uncle to the point that he believed the sons who just lied to him. In many ways, they had become his younger self.
Hmm.
Now, things that we pass on to next generations. So, um, how do we recognize our inadequacies, though?
Mm.
Because apparently he did. Um,
Gee.
we have other people bring it out.
Uh, Other people, setbacks, losses. We
Ah,
talked about losses.
there's the connection.
We examine how things are going in face of a loss, or we've talked about the heroes that we have. As
Ah,
as much as I don't like to hear folks say, David, you might not be moving in the right direction. Certain people can share that blessing as a correction because
so,
because
right.
they have earned the right to be a hero. I think worship. We've talked about worship
Okay.
being a way as we encounter God. Uh, Again, you talked about our inadequacies. Maybe as Isaiah did in the temple, we've talked about that in this season. Recognizing when you look at who God is and who we are, we're not what we intended to be. And then back to that wrestling that you had in our own conversations, individual, you know,
Yeah.
times of reflection, meditation. And I
Yeah.
know that wrestling might be a stretch, but if I remember right, Jacob wasn't going to let go until his adversary blessed him.
And that had to be some change of momentum, thought process. Had he reached the end of his rope? Um, he sent out groups of
Yeah.
people uh, in an arrangement out toward Esau when he learned that Esau was coming and had a band of men. So, they were probably moving about and not necessarily bandits, but these would have been people, warrior types.
Right.
So the fear, maybe Esau would remember how he'd been cheated and take that out,
Mm.
resentment on Jacob. But lo and behold, that didn't happen. Um, so something had happened with Esau in the intervening years
Right.
of how he had absorbed being left out of the the blessing,
Oh,
the legacy,
you know,
and it was transferred to Jacob.
you know,
But all that gets recognized, and I think will be part of the ongoing sense of, well, what is happening in me, and what should be happening in me.
you know, a thought came to me while I was with him about this. That's one of the things that Richard Rohr talks about
Yeah,
in his divisions of first half of life and second half of life.
yeah,
Your first half of life is you buy a house, you have a family, you make
yeah.
money. And in the second half of life, you begin to see success, blessing through the ideas of well being,
Ah,
through the ideas of a wholeness.
ah. And what you have just treaded into is the idea of the Hebrews of shalom. Walter Brueggemann called the all-encompassing, the constellation of all of the virtues of the Hebrews.
Mm,
And that it essentially means when you say that to somebody, shalom to you is I wish you well, and that all might be well with you.
mm,
But it extends on beyond that. I mean, it's really a rather elaborate progressional thing moving through, and all of your relationships and all of your neighbors and all of those that you come in contact with, and all of those to the very ends of the earth. Shalom,
mm.
peace, blessing, well-being. Um, it certainly has the idea of forgiveness
It
for ill
does.
treatments. Uh, I mean, it's the very essence of forgiveness, that you can wish another well, in spite of their having treated you badly.
True. We That idea of not hearing blessing.
Ah,
Sometimes you just need to hear and be reminded that I think Richard Rohr made the statement. We have to encounter God in that original blessing of creation. God created us good
there you
before
go.
before things were messed up.
Right.
And I think that's important for us. And I think that's something that you and I can do today as we end this time together. And that is, I can offer a blessing from Scripture
Yeah.
that the Hebrews used in their worship. And it reminds us that God has God our best interest, and God bestows those best interests on us. And so we end with these words: the Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord lift up his countenance on you and give you peace. Shalom.
Everyday Ethics is brought to you by the T.B. Maston Foundation, which seeks to proclaim the abiding relevance of the whole gospel of Jesus Christ and provide support for the study and application of Christian ethics. For more information or to donate, visit tbmaston.org.